What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Arrival Entertainment, and today we're going to be talking about The Beatles Get Back, the new miniseries now streaming on Disney+. The Beatles Get Back is a new miniseries on Disney+ from director Peter Jackson, and it includes new, never-before-seen footage of the Beatles from their famous Get Back / Let It Be sessions. The series is basically, in short, a much bigger and longer version of the Let It Be movie that came out in 1970. Now, if you don't know what the Let It Be movie is, it's basically a film crew came in to record the Beatles, recording and rehearsing songs for their new album, Let It Be, and only this time we got much more information about what went on behind the scenes during the making of that movie, and like I said earlier, never before seen footage that has never seen the light of day until now. If you know me, then you know that I am no stranger to the Beatles. They are still to this day my favorite band of all time. I have all their CDs, I've heard all of their songs, I've even seen all of their movies. I have my favorite one right behind me. I am a huge Beatles fan. Maybe too much of a huge Beatles fan. So I don't think I need to say how much I was looking forward to seeing this. Ever since they announced it, I was just in cloud nine when I heard that this was an actual project happening. And it's coming from the director of the Lord of the Rings movies, Peter Jackson. He did a film recently called They Shall Not Grow Old, which is a pretty similar project to this miniseries, where he took old World War I footage and restored it to near perfection and presented it in theaters. It's a very similar thing here. He took all the old footage from, well, most of the old footage from what I understand, from the Let It Be Get Back sessions, and restored it, cleaned it up, made it look all nice and fancy, and now it's streaming on Disney+. It was going to be a movie in theaters, which I'm curious how that would have played out, because the miniseries was broken up into 3 parts. The first part is like 2.5 hours long. The second part is almost 3 hours long, and then the last part's like 2 hours, 20 minutes, something like that. So I'm curious what he would have done if they would have just stuck to the original theatrical release. I highly doubt they would have released a 7-hour movie in theaters. They probably would have broken it up monthly or maybe yearly or something like that. I don't know, but who cares? We got it now on Disney+, all of it in its glory. So how is it? Well, as a hardcore Beatles fan, I couldn't be any happier with this. This is a Beatles fan dream come true. There is so much stuff in here that I never thought I would ever see. The stuff that I've heard about. I've heard some stories about some of this footage that has never been shown before, and now we're getting to see it with cleaned up picture and cleaned up audio, and it looks gorgeous. The picture and sound quality, it is incredible, that the stuff that Peter Jackson was able to do with this footage. It looks really great, and it looks pretty good on Disney+, but I'm still hoping we get a Blu-ray release of this. They should release a Blu-ray of this, at least I think they should. If anyone involved with this miniseries is watching, please release this on Blu-ray, because I really want a physical copy of this. And that was one of the biggest draws on pulling people into this miniseries, was that it's brand new footage of one of the greatest bands of all time. A lot of people, including myself, view them as the greatest band of all time. It's new footage that has never seen the light of day from one of the most famous recording sessions in music history, the Get Back / Let It Be sessions, and we finally get to see in its entirety the entire rooftop concert. That is one of the biggest things that Beatles fans, including myself, were really excited over. And I'll get into more about the rooftop concert later on, but yeah, this whole miniseries was just so entertaining to watch. Despite the fact that a good majority of this miniseries is just the Beatles sitting around talking with the original director of the Let It Be movie, talking to other people involved with the making of this original movie, and it's a lot of talking going on. But whereas someone like me, who, like I said, is a gigantic Beatles fan, that stuff is so interesting, because I'm so curious on what went through these guys' heads when they were going through with the session, and what came to how they eventually performed on the rooftop of their offices. I didn't know that this original project was originally going to be a live TV performance. I'm sure there's some hardcore fans out there that knew that that was the original intention, but I didn't know that. In fact, one of my biggest issues now with looking back on the original Let It Be movie is how disjointed it feels, so to speak. I'll try my best to explain what I mean. So with the Let It Be movie, it starts with footage of them rehearsing and, talking and bickering in the this stage area where they're going to be performing this eventual live show. And then that goes on for a while, and then it transitions to them rehearsing and recording in their Apple office. And then it cuts to them recording 3 songs that would be on the Let It Be album, 2 of Us, Let It Be, and Long and Winding Road. And then it cuts to the rooftop concert. And then the movie ends. This miniseries clears up a lot on why why the Let It Be movie was presented the way it is. They were originally going to perform these songs live on TV, so they're rehearsing on the stage while the film crew is setting up for this eventual live performance, and then things piled up, one thing led to another, and there was an eventual agreement to not do the TV performance. So then they decided to move to their Apple offices and figure out how they're going to perform these songs live, because the intention of the Let It Be album, I guess from what I've learned from this miniseries, was that they were going to perform all the songs live with no overdubbing, no edits or anything like that. So they're in their Apple offices recording, they bring in Billy Preston, and then the idea sparks on, why don't we perform these songs live somewhere where we're not supposed to? And they were thinking of a whole bunch of places where they could do this, and eventually led to the rooftop of their own offices. Now, after seeing this mini-series, everything is kind of cleared up on how that decision came to be. At least for me, it is. Again, I'm sure there's hardcore fans out there that knew that, but for someone like me who is a huge fan of the Beatles but didn't know this type of information, that is incredibly fascinating to just look into. And I can't stress again how incredible it is that we get to see this footage restored to near perfection. It does say in the beginning of each part that there were some scenes that they couldn't restore, so to speak, and so just audio clips of that were presented with like different images of the Beatles or different landscape images to kind of represent what they're talking about. So there is some footage from the sessions that they obviously couldn't use or couldn't find or couldn't restore to near perfection, like I said, and that's fine. We still get the general idea of what happened during this entire session. And another thing I like is that Peter Jackson wasn't afraid to show both sides of what happened, because from what Ringo said in an interview when this project was first announced was that the original Let It Be movie just basically showed most of the bickering and the hardships that they had, when in reality they did still enjoy recording with each other, and they still had a lot of fun making this album. Peter Jackson did show that for the most part. Peter Jackson did make a point in saying that he wants to show more of the lightheartedness that happened during the sessions, but also at the same time, he did acknowledge in this miniseries that there were some hardships. This was in a way the beginning of the end for the Beatles, and he does show that. He does show a couple of heated arguments that go on in this series. For instance, Paul in the first part of the series is getting frustrated because he's trying to get things done, and the rest of them are looking at him like they just don't want to be there. John looks disinterested in quite a bit of parts in this miniseries. Ringo looks like he's about to fall asleep in the first part, and George is getting frustrated because he doesn't know what they want to do. They're just kind of throwing things out there, and it eventually ends with George basically saying at the end of part 1 that, okay, I'm going, I'm quitting, bye guys. And that's how part 1 ends. So I like that they weren't afraid to show both sides of what happened, that they were getting heated with each other, and there were some heated arguments and heated discussions, but at the same time, they were still having a really great time recording with each other. There are so many funny parts of just watching these guys just goof off while they're trying to spark an idea for a song or for just a little part of the song, so to speak. So they did a good job with that. It wasn't just one-sided, like it was just nothing but terrible times, or it was nothing but flowers and sunshine. Let's not focus on the bad stuff. So they did a good job on that. However, I can see that if you're more of a casual Beatles fan, or if you're not really that big a Beatles fan to begin with, I can see you thinking that this miniseries is boring. Because like I said, there is a lot of them just sitting around talking, discussing ideas, throwing around certain ideas on what to do with this TV performance, and then the TV performance didn't happen, so what are they going to do now after that? Or, like I said, the first part ends with George basically quitting, saying, I'm done, so a good majority of the beginning of the second part is talking about how are we going to get George back? What are we going to do if we can't convince George to come back? Well, John said, we'll get Eric Clapton to join him, which, by the way, a side note, I wouldn't want to see the Beatles in any other way. John, Paul, George, Ringo. That's the only way I would want to see it, but I'd be curious to see, for a brief second, how the Beatles would have been like with Eric Clapton. It'd be pretty interesting to see. But my point is there's a lot of sitting around and talking in this miniseries, so if you're not fully interested, at least somewhat, on the Beatles or music in general, you might see this miniseries as pretty boring, especially the first part. The first part, it does take time to find its footing on the direction that they're going to go with this series, on where they were going to go with this eventual TV performance, but also at the same time, like I said before, no one was really interested in doing this TV performance. They were just interested in just writing the songs. And I like how this miniseries was presented in chronological order. Looking back on it, and then looking back on the Let It Be movie, the Let It Be movie has so many parts that are just nowhere near in the right order. A scene that happens in part 2 is in the very beginning of Let It Be, the movie, and then a scene in part 1 of this miniseries happens at the very end of, or not the very end, but the very middle part of the Let It Be movie. So the Let It Be movie had all this footage and all this order of what happened in just such a mixed order. The miniseries, they did put it in chronological order, which was very helpful for someone like me. And let's talk about that rooftop performance. I was so excited when I heard about this, because I was like, I really hope we get to see the entire concert in its original form, because the way the rooftop concert was shown in the Let It Be movie, they took the best performances from the songs that they did and displayed it there as the rooftop concert, when in reality they did multiple takes of those songs. And here we get to see everything, and it was so cool to see. I like that we got to see that they did multiple takes of each song that they did, and I liked how it was presented. It was presented as this is going to be hard to explain, but I'll do my best to sum it up. Obviously, there's multiple angles that each cameraman picked up, and there was also cameramen on the street interviewing people, and there was a cameraman in the office of the Apple building recording the police officers coming in. So the way they chose to present this, it's not just your normal widescreen or widescreen image of just the rooftop performance, and then it cuts to an image of the cameraman interviewing people, or it cuts to another image of, or footage of the police officers. They choose to show multiple images throughout the entire screen. That was an interesting way to go about it, and while I can see some fans saying to themselves, I just want to hear the concert performance, I want to hear how good this sounds, at the same time, there's other bits of this rooftop concert that happened behind the scenes that they wanted to show as well, and I think the way they showed it, showing different shots in the same frame, I think that was the best way to go about it. I couldn't be happier with how they did the rooftop concert. This whole miniseries as a whole is, like I said, a Beatles fan's dream come true. This was done with such love and care. Peter Jackson is obviously a huge Beatles fan, and it definitely shows in this miniseries. He took great care of this footage and tried to present it in the best way that you can experience it, the best way that all this information, all the footage that happened, tried to go in chronological order, try to represent it as best as he could. He did an outstanding job. This is one hell of a miniseries. I loved it. If you're a huge Beatles fan and you have not seen this yet, then absolutely check this out. It is not a time waster at all. If you're a casual fan, or you're just not that big of a Beatles fan in general, you might see this as boring, so kind of take that into consideration at your own risk. But I have no doubt in my mind that any Beatles fan, any hardcore Beatles fan, would not at least like this. This is a fantastic miniseries, and I'm glad we got to see all this new footage in its entirety. I'm not going to grade this miniseries with my normal grading system because I don't think it would really work out for that, so I'll just give it a letter grade. The Beatles Get Back gets a solid A for me. Again, I couldn't be happier with this. I hope we get a Blu-ray of it at least next year. I'm hoping we do. I think they should, but we'll see what happens with that. If we don't, then at least we have it on Disney+. So guys, that's my review for The Beatles Get Back. Just like always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this miniseries down in the comments section. And what's your favorite Beatles project? Could be CD, single, movie, whatever it is. Let me know down in the comment section. And just like always, guys, thank you again as always for watching. I got more videos planned very soon, so look forward to that. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and share it. Subscribe right here if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, take care.